Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Well, good afternoon to Kreatif, a radio program where we look at everything fine art or art related. Today, well, first, before I carry on with that, I need to apologize for my hiatus for the last 2 weeks. I've been traveling to Franschhoek, where I was hanging my personal solo exhibition at Is Art Gallery in Franschhoek. Really wonderful experience, and I would, if anybody finds themselves in Franschhoek, please treat yourself to either lunch or supper at Foliage, right next door to Is Art Gallery. It's a phenomenal restaurant. But carry on with today. So today we are welcoming Moshe Chauke, a young artist who's recently opened his solo exhibition, and alongside him we have Ryan Aronson from the Art Room in Parkhurst, one of my favorite framing and gallery spaces. So, Moshe,
Yes,
how are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
Good. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, where you grew up.
I was born in Limpopo, and I grew up in various parts of Soweto, from family members and all that.
So you've moved around between your family members, pretty much. That's how you grew up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your family, is it a big family?
No, not because my mother was a cousin. Was a cousin to the family I grew up in. So, not too big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you've just recently opened your first solo exhibition at the Art Room.
Yes.
Please tell us a bit about your exhibition.
My exhibition is about my childhood memories and the journey into the art world. My journey into the art world and how I'm growing up and finally getting to do what I feel that I was destined to do.
Okay, so it's pretty much going for your dreams and trying to make a career for yourself within the art world.
Yes.
Now, the exhibition is quite interestingly, and hopefully I'm not going to butcher it,
Okay.
Okwem Buliwe.
Yes.
Okay.
Okwembuliwe.
And that is Zulu,
That's Zulu. Yes.
instead of Tsonga, which is your cultural heritage.
Yes. As I was growing up in Soweto, I met a lot of people, and those people spoke a lot of different languages. So I kind of picked up every language that I grew up around in, and I decided to go with Zulu to interpret that I didn't grow up in my original culture, but I'd like to go back and learn and understand the ways and understand everything they live through.
Okay, and this obviously has an impact on your work, because your work is about your journey, growing up and moving into the art world. But
Yes.
the title,
Okwembuliwe.
yes,
Yes.
is pretty much means unmasked.
Yes.
Please tell us about what you mean by unmasked. What was unmasked for you in your journey?
For me, unmasked would be since it has been me. I had to whenever I'm in a different family, different families I've met or grew up under. That means I had to do different things. That means that would drift me away from art, but I still found a way to draw every now and then continue with what was required of me at that time. So unmasked is, since I found this job at the framing studio of Art Room, I decided that it has helped me to grow in an art view. So I get to get into the art space and art world and understand everything. So through the Art Room framing gallery, that means I'm unmasking myself from all of the other things that I wasn't interested in but had to do.
So
now I get to do me and live me.
So it's pretty much while growing up you had to be someone else
Yes,
to keep
yes.
everybody happy.
Yes,
Now-
yes. To fit in, yes.
I know the story and I'm quite fascinated by it. Ryan, how did you discover, or not, yeah, well, discover Moshe's talent?
Yes, his older brother actually works for us at the factory, and one day he came to me and he said, "You know what, my little brother can draw." I said, "Okay, fine, bring me some drawings, let me see." And he did bring me a handful of drawings, and I noticed that this man has got skill. He can definitely draw, he can draw shape, he can hold proportion, and he does have a very good feel for light and shadow. So there was a lot of depth in the drawings. They were very simple, basic drawings, but I felt, this is something we can work with. So I said to him, this was towards the end of 2014, I think. And so I said to Kaifas, bring your brother in the new year in January. And yeah, that's how Moshe ended up at the factory. And first, we just employed him as an assistant to the framers. He worked in the factory. He got to see artwork. I mean, we get to frame beautiful artworks every single day. How blessed are we? And that made it easy for me to just discuss art with Moshe and say, look at this work. Look how this artist has portrayed his or her story. Look at the technique they use, and so forth. And that's how he started to learn, started to grow, and broaden his perceptions.
Well, I think it's absolutely phenomenal of you guys to almost invest so much, because you not only invested in him working with you guys, but you've also for a bit funded his education at the Artist Proof Studios. Now, Moshe, Artist Proof Studios,
Yes.
what did you learn?
I learned a lot, and it helped me go forth on my journey as an artist. But I felt that the printmaking at the moment, I still need to maybe find myself first and then come back to learning it. But so charcoal was one of the things I fell in love with so far. So yeah.
Okay, so, but what you're in essence saying is that you felt you had to discover your own voice almost,
Yes,
as an
yes,
artist.
Yes.
Because I know that Artist Proof Studios takes young, previously disadvantaged students and they push them to develop.
Yes.
But in your case, you felt you needed to find your own particular voice, and you chose charcoal and pastel.
Yes.
And I have to say, your drawings are absolutely exquisite.
Thank
For
you.
those of you that are interested in seeing the drawings, I know that the Art Room on their Facebook page posts images quite regularly. I've shared on Kreatif Fine Arts page as well, so please pop onto Facebook and have a look at the two pages to see the works, because they're absolutely exquisite. And I would very strongly recommend to actually go to the Art Room in Parkhurst to go and have a look at the works, because I know for a fact that they are absolutely beautiful. Now, in your own journey after leaving Artist Proof Studios, tell us a bit about how you developed after that.
I got time to like get to know everyone around me, like in my workplace, because most of the figures I use in my artworks are the people I know from work. So I got to know everyone singularly and understand where they come from and how I can maybe connect their stories through my stories. And whilst sometimes when I watch them work, I can see the emotions and and the energies they have around whatever they are doing, and the focus. So that made me realize that I also need to focus on my art and make it more stronger. And because I've experienced a lot of losses and sorry, a lot of loss and happiness, but mostly loss. So I just wanted to know from another person's view how they feel when they're around me, because most people are happy and they understand me, and I connect easily with people. So that's what I did on my artworks. I showed those connections and and separations maybe sometimes, because you sometimes feel like you have to be alone.
Okay, now in the pretty much the artist statement that's what's sent out, and you
Yes.
mentioned it, that you suffered a lot of loss and isolation.
Yes.
Now, in your drawings,
Yes.
it is quite prevalent that you find a metaphor where I know in the factory people put on dust
Dust
masks,
masks, yes.
so they masked and they unmasked themselves. But please tell us a bit more about the loss and isolation. Does it have to do with where you grew up and the fact that you constantly had to hide behind a mask?
Yes, it has to do with that, but mostly it would have to be part of my journey, because with the losses, it's mostly from when I was a child. So coming up was more like isolation, because if I'm playing, I just feel like I don't want to be around so much people, and then I'll just find my own space and start drawing or something.
Okay, so it's almost, and I know the feeling very well, is that need to draw and that need to
Yeah,
create.
yes.
Now, Ryan, was he present at the framing of the Albrecht-Roer?
He was there, but because that was such a very important and ancient piece, I actually handled all the framing of that myself.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I took great care in that one. 500-year-old etching is not something you get to deal with every day.
Okay. Now, we're quickly going to break for an ad break, so we'll be back again talking to my two guests.
The unique experience. Living as One Events presents relationship talks, drama, Q&A sessions,
music, love stories, ladies and gents session, and lots more. Registration fee at 150 Rand.
happening at Bread of Life Foundation Venue, Honeydew Shopping Center, Bayers Nordia Drive, corner Blueberry Drive, Unit 66, Laser Park, Honeydew. Saturday, 15 September at 11 a.m. RSVP on 072-851-8702.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.beastownmedia.co.za.
Whether you're an athlete or just going about your day-to-day business, use Turbo Freeze on the go for any pain relief or inflammation. It's the #1 pain relief formula. To find out more, log on to our website www.turbofreeze.co.za.
You're listening to brandlive.co.za.
Well, welcome back after that ad break. Now, Moshe, while working at the art room in the factory where they actually do all the framing, you've seen a lot of work.
Yes, I've seen a lot of works.
Does any work stand out for you? Whose work do you like, and why do you like those works?
The one that stood out for me the most was Bambos Bias.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Bambos Bia because his work look like he gets to know the people he's working on. So there's a background story. There's almost hard work when you look at his work. So that quite pushed me a lot and made me understand where I also wanted to go.
And Bamba was an old APS student.
Yes.
Anybody else's work?
Lindozwanes, Sizwe Kozas, also from APS. So yeah.
Okay, and what about those works stand out for you? Because obviously you're drawn to these works, and I'm sure they influence your own work.
Yes.
How do you see that influence happening?
Mostly it's about the background stories, like just like I said before, the hard work, the background, the researches they do. And yeah, that helps me understand that I also need to work hard to get there and also find my own voice.
Which is important because you can't just be like
Everyone.
everybody else. And
Yes.
I can guarantee you the quality of work you're delivering is, I absolutely love it. And you know I'm going to get one.
Okay, thank you.
Now, obviously you would not have been able to get where you are today. Or you might have not, but the art room made it quite a bit easier for you.
Yes, yes.
Now, Ryan, you guys I know for a fact has done a lot for a lot of artists. Talk to us a bit about how you nurture and foster the artists you work with.
Yes, we're all one community, so it is important that we give back and that we help and that we assist as much as possible. So there are various ways in which we can assist artists. Obviously, with Moshe, it's a bit of a special project. We don't employ all our artists. But yeah, so that's a bit of a special project. But we young people come to us, they scared, they nervous, they have to show work for the first time. We sit them down, we have a conversation with them, we listen to their story, let them tell us why they made the pictures that they did. As a gallery space, we will quite easily give young unknown artists who've never exhibited before that first opportunity to showcase their world to the wider public. Whether it is through a group exhibition and they just submit one or two works, or we have our print drawer, what do we call it, the editions box, where we just put in loose work, so it's easily for people to come in, to come and just browse and see something new. There are other ways of also helping artists, which is financially, obviously. It is not easy to make a living from art. It is very tough. So, from time to time we help somebody pay a rent, buy some materials, and so forth. We recently had an artist who was stuck in Iran, couldn't get money from there to his family back in South Africa, and asked, hey, we need to buy some groceries at home. Can you please help out? So we do that. Then also artists sometimes want to enter competitions, so we would sponsor framing for them if they enter if it's a very beautiful work and we think they stand a good chance and they need to be seen. We'll assist them by framing the artwork so that it improves the presentation of the work.
Sorry to interrupt, but I know this for a fact because in my corporate days, I know that a lot of artists were incredibly scared and the work needed to be framed. And I've asked a couple of guys to go and speak to you guys, and I don't think people realize the difference it makes if you hand in a framed artwork for a competition and if you hand in an unframed work, and the difference is almost like night and day.
It's all about presentation. The artwork is there to present the artwork. It's there to keep it safe, obviously, to keep it from getting damaged. But not only that, it must enhance the work. It is like, think of merchandising in a shop, the way people place works on a shelf or on a special display in order to draw your attention to that product. Exactly the same thing happens when you frame an artwork. Give it enough breathing space so that your eye is drawn to the image and not to the frame itself as such. So that displaying of the work, the way that it enhances the work, that is very important. So you can take a beautiful artwork, but frame it up beautifully. It just makes it so much nicer, the whole presentation, the whole feel, and it looks a lot more professional that way as well, as opposed to sticking something with a few clips onto a wall.
Yeah, I've seen that happen so many times, and definitely having work framed makes a massive
And
big
we saw it at Joburg Art Fair this weekend.
Oh yes, we did. And Joburg Art Fair, now that we're on the topic, I thought it was quite interesting. I saw some really, really nice, solid work, particularly from some of the international galleries and even the local galleries.
Yeah, you know what, having thought about it over the weekend and one or two discussions with people, for me, where I think the fair falls a little bit short is in that presentation of the work.
Yes.
Like I said, they were at the biggest art fair on the continent. You have artworks pinned onto a wall, even stuck through the paper, through the artwork, which is something you should not actually ever do, because that is damage to the work. So, yeah, there certainly were beautiful works, make no mistake. But in a big way, the presentation thereof wasn't always as great. So one does miss out a little bit in that sense. You feel like, oh, if this work was beautifully presented, if the stand was beautifully hung, it would even enhance the experience so much more. But yeah, I saw some interesting things. Mama Lisa was quite quite a highlight.
I mean, I quite enjoyed Everard Reed's sculpture stand. There were some exquisite works on there. But getting back onto the topic before we wander off too far. Moshe,
Yes.
I have to ask you, how do you qualify a successful exhibition? What would make your exhibition now seem successful to you?
It would have to be if people came and they saw and they asked questions, I'd mostly make them understand where I'm going and where I'm coming from.
So for you, a success of this exhibition would be just to get noticed.
To get noticed and known, and to be given a platform to tell my story.
Again, I'm sure Ryan has spoken to you about that, because in all the years that I've hung exhibitions, the first thing that artists say is that they measure the success of an exhibition through sales. And that's not always the case.
Yes.
Ryan, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we're actually in a very difficult economic climate at the moment, and art is a luxury. It's not a need to have.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm sure many of our clients would disagree. Once that bug has bitten you are. But yeah, you can't always rely just on sales as to how successful the work or the exhibition was. We always say, if there's a buyer for every artwork, just got to wait for him or her to walk through the door. And that
Yes.
doesn't happen necessarily in the first month of the work hanging. So what I like to see is people engaging with the work, having a close look. If they walk through the gallery and they don't really look at anything, and a minute later they walk out the door, then mission was not accomplished. But when a person walks in and they look carefully at each work, that engagement that they have, that is the success, because that means that image that hangs on that wall, it drew them in. They had to look, they wanted to look more, they wanted to explore it further.
Well, I mean, but advice I normally give to young artists is, at least you're getting a show. Great if you have sales. Absolutely fantastic if you have sales. If you get media profiling, then that's even better. So it takes time to build up the idea that someone has a sustainable career.
Absolutely. Yeah, you build it over time. Your first show might not draw a lot of attention, but next time you just do it again and you do it again. And yeah, sellout exhibitions don't happen all the time. It's the privileged few who can say, hey, I sold everything on my exhibition. That, yeah, not too often we hear that.
I'm still waiting for that ship to come in.
Me too.
Now, Moshe, what's lying in the future for you?
I'd say exploring more with other mediums and getting to know the world and opening up to knowing more people and understanding where they come from, and getting to know people more actually and their stories.
And refining your skill, because I mean you are incredibly skillful, but
Yes,
you should never stop working.
No, I'll never do that.
Okay. Now, I would remind everybody that if you want to go and have a look at Moshe's work, it is available, or you can look at some of the posts on Facebook through the Art Room Facebook page. And I know that I'm sharing on Kreatif Fine Art, but you're not going to get the full picture if you don't go into the space and have a decent look. Now, Ryan, please just give us your physical address again.
Yes, we're in 4th Avenue in Parkhurst, and if you know the Jolly Roger pub, it's a landmark in Johannesburg. If you stand in front of the Jolly, the building right to the left of it. Easy to find.
Well, only if you know the Jolly.
Only if you know the Jolly.
So, just to close off, I would like to remind everybody, if there's any subjects that you would like us to discuss on this program, please just drop me a message on the Facebook page on Kreatif Fine Art. And with that, thank you. I hope you enjoyed the shows. Thank you to Moshe and Ryan.
Thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure to have you guys in. Thank you, and good afternoon.